Good morning, everyone. It's 1st of March here in Singapore. Wow, time has just flown by. I want to talk about the topic of loneliness, especially when you are on the path of spiritual development. It can feel quite lonely. And, it's said in, if you just Google search, there are a lot of quotes about loneliness and that it is lonely at the top, and that loneliness is something that you kind of like you have to live with it if you are way more advanced than other people, or if you are ahead of people, ahead of your peers, then you need to accept that loneliness is part of the destination. But that's not necessarily true, because the loneliness can be part of the process, right? The process as you grow on your path of spiritual development, and hopefully to become psychologically clearer in your journey and spiritually advanced, in all that you do, and maybe even in your service work. And it can feel lonely. It is part of the process of you becoming more enlightened. However, loneliness is not the destination, and this is something that people must understand. Because if we start thinking that when we get to a certain level of our spiritual evolution, it's going to get lonelier and lonelier because our peers are not on a journey with us, then unconsciously that might stop us from growing and developing, right? That can, it is possible. And I've met with many people, some of them my clients, some of them my students, who allow this to stop them because there is a sense that they feel that they are going to be disconnected from the people that they love, and understandably. And the journey is that you have experienced this, right? Where you learn something new on the journey and you're so excited to talk about it. But people around you don't get it. They don't understand what you're going through, and some may even think that you are crazy, right? And that can feel quite lonely. But it is a process. It is not the destination. And you have to know this and remind yourself that it is part of the process. As I get to become or get deeper within myself and understanding of myself, as well as becoming more refined in my consciousness, and the frequencies that you get, that you receive, right, will be quite different. And the life force within you will start to pulsate with the rhythm of all of humanity, with the rhythm of the planet, with the rhythm of the universe. And that's not lonely at all, right? It's far from being lonely. Now, the journey may be lonely. The journey can be quite treacherous, I feel, at times, when you feel quite ostracized from people around you, because you have different interests, you have different pace of growth and development, and it can feel that way. But you have to keep on reminding yourself, that that's not the destination. And also, I want to encourage you that, on your journey of growth and development, at any one time when you feel really cut off from everyone else, when you feel really cut off and lonely and maybe sinking into depressive mode, the ego wants you to think that you're making progress. The ego can be very tricky, right? The ego can think, oh, you are above everyone else, so that is fine. And the ego will convince you that as part of being depressive and being so lonely for long periods of time and being disconnected as part of the growth. It is not, all right? It is just the ego's way to convince you to stay on that depressive mode. You must seek help when you get there. You must seek help when you get into the state where you are almost like hanging, in a space where you feel there's nowhere else to go, you feel very, very lonely and you're sinking. And you may even experience numbness. And this is where you really need to reach out for help and know that it is okay. It is okay to reach out for help. You can seek the help of a therapist who knows shadow work. You can seek help of a life coach, a spiritual coach such as myself. I do a lot of shadow work with my clients. So you must look for help. Sometimes the journey is such that we cannot walk alone despite, the loneliness, right? Personally, I have help in so many places. I reach out all the time. And, this phase of loneliness is quite a part of the journey, right? It's part of the process, and you will feel lonely at some point in your journey of life. And it does not mean that you have to go at it alone. The important thing is to ask for help, right? And like what Eddie has said here, I'm looking at your comments now. Eddie has said that yes, you can be alone and not be lonely if you can occupy your time in a meaningful way. Exactly, right? And you must find meaning in what you're doing as well. You must have the strength and the courage, to journey on without allowing these energies to beat you, without allowing these energies to pull you down and make you have delusional thinking that the loneliness is the destination. It is not. It is absolutely not. So do not buy into that. It is the process. And in process means that we are still on the way. And if we're still on the way, it means that we do need help, and it is okay to reach out for help. Okay, so I just see far too many people struggling, in their journey of personal development or spiritual growth. And then they start thinking that when this aloneness or loneliness sets in, they think that they have reached their destination. They think that they are above everyone else, and that's such a dangerous zone to be in. You're not above anyone else. If anything, right, the spiritual path is not to be above anyone else. We're not here in competition. If anything, when you get to that destination of true enlightenment, you will feel that you are the same with everyone else, right? This is the cyclical journey of enlightenment, right? We want to get out of mass consciousness, right? Because we don't want to do the mundane. We don't want to be like everyone else who may not be making choices, may not be using their spiritual mind, may not be using their intuition. So we want to get out of that mass consciousness control and grip. And so we journey, sometimes alone. But when we get to that destination, that's where you start to get into a zone where you realize that despite how people may be trapped, within their egos and within getting caught up in the mundane states of consciousness, that you are in fact one with them as well, because the universe is much bigger than that, right? Our world view or our energy and our ability to accommodate and to open our hearts to even the mundane is beautiful, right? And that's what, that journey is all about, and it's very, very cyclical, right? We go through cycles, and when you reach that stage, you will then go into the, what people will call the in-breath and out-breath of the universe or of God, right? The in and out. And when you get into the in and out, then you make progress, and then you grow, and then you come down again, and then you go up, right? It's a constant cycle. All right? So I want you to understand this and to know this, and that it doesn't mean any less if you seek help. It doesn't mean that journeying alone is going to make you more enlightened. No, it may not. It may make you sink lower if you get into depressive modes. Okay? So I am here right now live, and if you are watching this as a recording, it is fine too. You can post your questions in the comments, And this video is going to be posted on all the rest of my other social media platforms. But I'm currently live here on Facebook, and it is 1st of March, 9 a.m. almost. And if you have questions, please post them there. I have received some questions that may be unrelated to today's topic. So I'm going to just address some of these questions that were sent to me in my messenger. Let me just do a very quick check. Okay, so please be patient with me as I look for those questions that were sent to me last week. And because I feel it's important to, to answer some of these questions that have come in. Okay, so, sometimes it's so difficult to look for things on Facebook because... Okay, so here a question from someone who asked me, about how to deal with things, right? How to deal with fear and how to look at it from a spiritual perspective. If, let's say, a loved one is in a nursing home right now and health insurance company is not helping in any way. I know that this is a real struggle for many people, especially with the pandemic and all that. And how do we then look at things from a spiritual perspective? As much as we don't want to sugarcoat things. There is a reality to life. There's a reality that our loved ones may be in hospital, they may be in hospice, they may be in nursing care, and health insurance may not be helping us because we're not covered, especially if you're based in some parts of the world where your health insurance may not be ideal. All right. I don't have comments for that. I don't know how, because I don't live there. I don't live in the States. I'm in Singapore. And so, I can't advise you on that. But what I can tell you is that how to look at things from a spiritual perspective is that I can only tell you that any challenges that we are experiencing, I know this sounds too cliche, right? This sounds just too cliche if I tell you this, that if you're going through any challenges in your life is really cornering you and pushing you into a position where you may have to look further inward to ask yourself, what is this lesson trying to teach me? Right? What is this forcing me to look into my life right now, into my emotional state, into my mental state? What is it that I'm not addressing at the moment? And yes, Joseph, I am answering questions at this time, right? So Joseph is asking if I'm answering questions. Yes, I am. So please feel free to post your questions. I am answering them. And I know it sounds so cliche to say this, like, from the spiritual perspective, and this is something that we have to grasp, we have to hang on to in terms of whatever we are experiencing in our lives. We have to look at it from a much bigger picture. Of course, on the earthly level, you need to look for help, like financial aid. You need to really get all the help that you can on the, physical, practical level, right? To deal with the real, whatever's happening in your life. But to help you to get through this, right? To get through the difficulty, sometimes you need to be able to hold the perspective that there is a bigger picture as to why you are experiencing certain things in your life. That you must hold a bigger picture, that there is something better coming, and that if we look at it from a universal perspective, that whatever ancestral challenges that, or whatever challenges we're facing right now, we are actually working on clearing ancestral mindset, ancestral karma, ancestral difficulties. All right. And that is how I can, say to you. And this is what I personally do, right? This is what I personally do. Like when I go through any challenges, whether it is practical day-to-day, challenges, like being exasperated when things don't work out. And then I have to remind myself that, if I look at it from a much bigger perspective, what is this trying to teach me? Maybe it's teaching me patience. Maybe it's teaching me how to handle anger. Maybe it's teaching me how to handle frustration, right? And when I look at it in that perspective, it helps me to expand my worldview and say, hey, yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, I did not do very well there. I was really frustrated. I was not very kind to this person or that person, or I wasn't very polite, right? So these are reminders that we have. But of course, on the practical earthly level, right, I still need to deal with things when they're not working out, right? I still need to look for solutions still. So there are always two levels of perspectives that we must look at, when we are dealing with life's challenges. And that is that we need to do the practical things to look for help. When things are not working out, we need someone to help us to do certain things. And this may sound mundane, right? But it is the mundane in which, like day to day, like who's going to do the dishes, who's going to clean the house, that sort of thing. And personally, I'm a single mom. So what happens is there's always something that needs to be done, right, in the home. And so either I look for help, or I push it aside and do it another day because I just don't have the time or the energy to do it, and then acknowledge that it is okay. But on the other hand, I need to ask myself on the psychological, spiritual level, right, what is this actually teaching me? Now, if I feel fed up, if I feel resentful, if I feel all of these, right, then I have to own it and ask myself, okay, what is this really teaching me? Right? The goal is not to place blame on anyone, not to place blame on systems, not to place blame on anything, right? And to own it. Whatever we're going through, own it and say, okay, what is it that I, need to own here and work through it? Okay, so I hope I've answered your question here. This was sent to me by someone by the name of Denise, and it was sent by Messenger last week. And well, thank you, Joseph, for your input. Yeah, I mean, I hope to share my input or my perspective as much as possible. And I do welcome any questions. If you have any questions for me here live, I'll be happy to answer them. And let me see. There was another question sent to me as well via Messenger, but I feel that it is quite way off from today's topic. So I will probably just address that as a standalone. And that question is about reincarnation, about ancestral stuff. And I'll probably do that maybe tomorrow or the day after. I would like to make that as a standalone topic, which I feel can be very beneficial if you are, if your spiritual path is one of a more eclectic in nature and maybe leaning towards Buddhism, or leaning towards connecting with the nature devas and all of that. Okay, so I'm gonna post a link here on the topic of loneliness. I wrote an article here this morning, so I'm gonna put in the comments section, and you can just check out the article if you like, if you want to read it. I've just posted it there in the comments. Oh, I just posted it as a personal. Let me just switch that so that I can. Okay, so go check out the article, see if you like it. And I do have, if you are an empath or a sensitive soul, I also have a free training series that I want to share with you. And let me see if I can get the link here very quickly. And really, the title of the series of videos is Empowering the Empath, and it is about learning to move from crisis to compassion. And this is something I am very, very passionate about sharing. So here's the link. You can go and view it, watch it, download it. I mean, yeah, I think you can. No, you can't download it. You can view it on the website. So the links are all there in the comments. So do check them out. If you're watching this as a recording on another social media platform, you will see all the links will be listed in the captions. So go check them out. All right. So I wish you a wonderful day ahead, everybody. God bless you, and I'll check in with you again soon. Usually when I come on live is around this time, all right? And so if you have questions, you can either send them to me via Messenger, or you can wait for me to come on live, and then you can ask me your questions live, and I would really be glad to assist you in any way that I can. Okay? So God bless you and namaste.